Hi, it's Steve with Coin Stuff I Like, bringing you part 10 in the Carson City Stuff I Like series. Um, we finished up with the Carson City silver dollars that are in PCGS graded holders. And now we're moving on to other segments of my Carson City collection. And this is one that I really cherish actually in my Carson City collection is the segment of my collection devoted to canceled die strikes. And there are two known canceled die strikes, both using 1884 obverse canceled dies from the Carson City Mint. And I want to go into those in more detail. So, back in 1999, the Carson City Mint, which you see here in the photo on the right, was expanding. It was at that point in time. It was part of the Nevada State Museum system, and the Nevada State Museum was expanding and doing some work on the other side of what we're looking at right here. This is the south side with the sun on it, and the north side is the other side. And over there on the north side of the old Carson City Mint building, they're doing some work. They're adding a building and a glass walkway and a parking lot out in the back and in a little patio area in the front, all on that north side. So they hired Dennis Casanelli, who had a construction and landscaping business, and they were working. They were breaking ground, and his one of his crew uncovered some metal objects, and so Dennis Casanelli went and jumped down into the hole and noted that these were actual Carson City dies. Um, these round metal tubular shaped items. So Dennis Casanelli was the one that actually discovered these in 1999 because his business, his crew, was doing the work on that north side of the Carson City Mint old building. And it just so happens that north side is where the Virginia and Truckee Railroad would come in and deposit silver ore, and they also had a blacksmith shop and foundry over on that side back in the day. And actually, you can see pictures with the train on that north side of the Mint building. So, fortunately, Dennis Casanelli is also a fine writer. I've read a number of his works. He's a native Nevadan from the area, and he's written a couple of articles on this particular discovery, this find. And so he mentions there's a few things that I'm quoting here. He When they first discovered that very first day, he got a 5 gallon plastic bucket at the job site and just started dropping these dies that they're uncovering into the bucket. And it was getting late, so he had a half full bucket of dies, brought them home. And he says he contemplated what he should do with them. And ultimately, he brought them back to the Mint. And told the Nevada Museum and told the museum director about them. So they continued to dig them up. He said that most of the dies were really rusted, and in fact, he mentioned at least one conglomeration of dies that had rusted together into one ball. So there's a lot of very rusted dies, including this one ball of dies. Um, and they all were canceled, meaning they had an X that was actually stamped into the surface, the die surface, um, and except for the dimes, which had a single slash across the die face. Um, so he was digging these things up, and by the way, he did find a few dies in an area that was protected from water going into the ground, and so they were less rusted and more preserved than the other dies. Ultimately, they had recovered more than 500 of the old Carson City dies. And they included everything from dimes, 20 cents, everything they produced through the gold pieces. They found dies for them, and evidently, they at the end of a production year, they would, of course, they would cancel the dies out by stamping an X into the surface, and then out by the blacksmith shop, they would dig a hole and bury them. Rather than melt them down or send them back to Philadelphia, that's how they got rid of their dies. They dug a hole and buried them, and they remained there until 1999. So over 100 years, they're buried in the ground. But it was a wonderful find, and all I can say is. Curse of Oak Island, guys, eat your heart out. This was a far greater treasure to find. So they found these. In fact, they have some of them on display in the museum now. That's in the old Carson City Mint. In 1999, that was the year Dennis Casanelli found the dies. Don Schmitz, who was the weekend operator of Coin Press Number One at the old Carson City Mint. So Coin Press Number One is in that building that we saw in the previous slide. Don Schmitz was an energetic and numismatist, antique store owner, and even had owned and was a proprietor of the Nevada City Mint in California. And he was the Coin Press Number One operator on the weekends from 1977 to 2001. Well, Don Schmitz, with permission of the Nevada Museum director, produced a promotional item, 2-ounce silver round struck with canceled Carson City Morgan dies. This is fantastic. Using a die that was once used in production of Morgan dollars at the Carson City Mint, dug up over 100 years later, and then used again to stamp out some silver rounds. So fantastic. As an aside, Don Schmitz also had these. These are old canvas Carson City Mint bag promotional replicas. They were probably made in the late 70s. And I put them here because I just picked these up at auction about a week ago. And they're Don Schmitz creations for promotion of the old Carson City Mint and the Nevada State Museum. So fast forward to 2021, and Dan Carr produces some various products that were also produced from canceled Carson City Morgan dollar dies. These dies are owned by a private collector. And among the products that Dan Carr produced were 2-ounce silver rounds, which were very similar to the Don Schmitz rounds. There's some differences we're going to go over in a minute. Just if you don't know Daniel Carr, he is a proprietor of Moonlight Mint, which is in Colorado. He is the designer of the main quarter in the state quarter series for the U.S. Mint. So one of his designs became a U.S. Mint product, state quarter. And he also, over that period of time, submitted a number of other submissions in competition to have his submissions become a state quarter. Ultimately, the main state quarter is the one that stuck and made it as a U.S. Mint coin. Just another aside, the Moonlight Mint, run by Dan Carr, runs a Grabiner press, which was once used at the Denver Mint. He purchased it and restored it, and that's the press that he uses. So this was once used in a U.S. Mint facility as well. So this was 2021. So we have two sets of canceled die strikes from different persons and different locations. One is the Don Schmitz 2-ounce round, and then there's also the Dan Carr 2-ounce round. There's a little bit differences. There's a few differences. If you notice, see the cancellation that they stamped in? Essentially took a chisel basically and punched it in. So if you look, the location is different. So that means they're two different obverse dies, both dated 1984. They're both Carson City dies. They're both dug up out back, but they're two different dies from Carson City. And so that's one difference, and the finish is a little bit different. This one has a little, it was on a burnished planchet, and it's a little bit shinier on this unstruck perimeter area, where this is a bead blasted planchet that was used. So they are different, and let's go into those and a little bit more detail. So Don Schmitz, about 1999, the 2-ounce rounds that he produced were, when you read the reports, it's not clear whether they're struck at his Nevada City Mint, which is likely, or at the old Carson City Mint on coin press number 1. It could be either, and we don't know for sure. As I mentioned, probably 1999, given that the dies were uncovered in 1999. So most reports that you read don't specify a date. They just say late 1990s. But we know that Dennis Cassinelli uncovered these things in 1999. So that's probably the year these were, the Schmitz pieces were minted. He did 170. There's 170 minted. They're medallic orientation. All right. So you flip it over in medallic form, and their top is top, and bottom is bottom on both sides. If you just flip it over on its vertical axis. 999 silver. It's two troy ounce at 48 millimeter diameter. As I mentioned, it was burnished, so it was a little bit shiny around that unstamped perimeter area. The 84cc die is reported to be die 38, so it probably had die 38 stamped into the shank of the die. That's how they know. So die number 38. But it was paired with an 1878 die, we know, because of the knock on the arrow, etc. That is a 1978 die. So it was mismatched dies, but they're both from Carson City. To me, looking at it, looks like it may be VAM4 for the obverse die and VAM7 for the reverse die. Now, compare that to the Daniel Carr 2-ounce round. the dies that he used. First of all, I struck these. We know at the Moonlight Mint in Colorado. It was done in 2021. He produced 17 of the 2-ounce rounds, so far, 10 times fewer minted. And he used a coin orientation, so the obverse and reverse are more like a coin in terms of their orientation. Same 999 silver, same 2 troy ounce, but this is a 50 millimeter diameter planchet, and it was bead blasted, so you can see that around the edge of the unstamped portion. And we know, because he documents this, that the private collectors that dies both had 37 marked on the shank. So this is die pair 37, and we know that this is at 1884 Carson City dies. So die pair 37, and from looking at it, looks like VAM 10, and I'll get to that more on that in a moment. So let's have a little bit closer look. This is the Don Schmitz piece. 170 of these were minted. Shiny perimeter area, 48 millimeter diameter. And we know the obverse is die 38 from 1884 at Carson City. The reverse is an 1878 die. All right, so that's the Don Schmitz piece. And here's the Dan Carr piece, bead blasted. There's only 17 of these that were minted, and he used die pair 37. So die 37 obverse die 37 reverse die was the 37 marked on the shank of each of these dies. Again, both from Carson City, likely dug up by Dennis Cassinelli and his crew. Dan Carr did not stop at the 2-ounce round and produced some other products, which I'm so happy that he did. It gives us some other examples. Using the same obverse and reverse canceled dies from Carson City, he did overstrikes on Morgan dollars from 1878 to 1921. So did overstrikes and minted 199, of which 171 looked like this. So a straight overstrike using those dies, 171 of those, and there's 28 that look like this. Still using, in this case, an 1884 Morgan dollar, not necessarily a Carson City, just a 1884 Morgan dollar, could have been a P or S mint. But these were struck off center. So you can see the host coin here, and then the canceled dies overstriking that host coin. Really cool, really cool. And there's 28 of those minted. Then he also, again, over 1878, 1921 Morgan dollars using the same dies, he produced 70 that had die pair 37 edge lettering on the edge. And here you can see 37. Die pair is over here, but this is this particular one, and die pair 37 on the edge. Another 70 of those with that particular product. And then he also did using the same dies, he did an overstrike of a 39 millimeter 999 silver planchet. The other Morgan coins that were overstruck were 90% Morgan silver dollars, right? 90% silver. This was a silver planchet, and that's what he used. That's what he struck these particular coins with, is using those dies. Mintage of 25. So we have a number of Dan Carr items using die pair 37, likely uncovered in 1999 after being 100 years in the ground. And we have a number of very limited mintage items using these canceled Carson City dies. Now, this one here is not, it's not either a Dan Carr or Don Schmidt's product. This is the original Carson City Mint product in a PCGS holder. This is not part of my other collection that I've already shown, but this is part of this particular segment. This is an MS63 1884 Carson City Morgan dollar, but this is a VAM 10. The reason I have it as part of this collection is for comparison to those Dan Carr die pair 37 dies. And I'm about to show you some of the comparison of the pickup points, and it's pretty remarkable. So by looking at this one and looking at the pickup points, I'm pretty certain that the dies, the die pair 37 that Dan Carr used, is VAM 10 that produced this die. So the same dies that were canceled, buried in the ground for 100 years, over 100 years, likely produced this coin back in the heyday, back in 1884. Let's take a closer look. So on the left, you'll see VAM 10 from that original 1884 CC coin. And they have this little characteristics. It is some markings right here near the feathers 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the left wing. And here's the canceled die. You can see that it's a rusted die. Look at all the pits compared to over here. So this is a pitted, rusted die. You just look at that. But here we have feathers 4, 5, 6, and 7, and lo and behold, look, we're seeing very similar markings here. Then on the obverse, just below the eye, on the VAM 10, they talk about this horizontal die gouge right here under the eye. And as you look at this really close, and even though it's rusted and in bad shape, this die, after being in the ground for over 100 years, you can pick up that die gouge consistent with VAM 10. Then we look at the date, the placement of the date relative to the neck, the neckline here is almost identical in terms of the distance and the denticle that it's overlying. This has a little die gouge underscore of the second 8. You can't really pick it up on the canceled die because it's not in great shape, and you can see there's a little funkiness going on here, whether it's break or rust or what have you, but you can't pick that up. But of interest is that this die crack off of the 4, there's still a remnant of that on this particular canceled die. So another pickup point, 2 pickup points that align with the VAM 10. And lastly is the orientation of the mint mark. It's a tilted left mint mark with the left C slightly higher than the right. Now, I didn't put this line in very well because, again, rust and the way the die was rusted. But you can see that they're very similar in terms of orientation. So I do think that the Dankar dies, die pair 37, are the same dies that produced the 1884 cc VAM 10. So there's an overview of the various canceled die strikes items that I have in my collection. Let's switch over to video so you can get a little bit better appreciation of each of these individual items.
All right, here is the first one. This is the Don Schmitz piece, self-encapsulated because this 48 50 millimeter rounds are not accepted by annex because they can't fit them in their holders. So otherwise they take them, but they only have one size holder. So self-encapsulated. Here you have it. There's 48 millimeters, 999 silver, 2 ounces. You can see this one has the perimeter of this metal is it has some reflectivity. Canceled die from 1884 from the verse from Carson City, but this is a different. This is die 38. Medallic turn to get to the reverse, and there you go. There's the reverse. You can see some reflectivity there. And this is a 78 die. We know from the arrow knock and such that this is a 78 reverse die. So it's mismatched dies. But very beautiful and stuff I like. Next one is the Dankar. So that last one was from about 1999. This one's from 2021. This is also 2 ounce. This is 50 millimeters. Pardon the foam. This is again self-encapsulated, so it's not a perfect foam cut on the perimeter. Bead blasted, so you can see the perimeter is a little bit different, but very nice coin. You can see the coin actually has some reflectivity. 1884, different die, different cancellation marks in it. This is from die pair 37. Now this one is a coin turn, and there's your reverse. So aside from the rust and the cancellation marks, the coin surface, or the surface of the coin, is actually very nice because it didn't go through all the bag marks and so forth. So very nice coin. Continuing on with the Dankar products. Now we're into coins that I've sent to Annex, and this one was an overstrike, same die pair 37, used to overstrike a Morgan dollar, not a Carson City Morgan, most likely, but a Morgan dollar from the 1878 to 1921 Morgan period. And there's the obverse, and you can see very nice. 1884, die pair 37. There's the reverse. This is a VAM 10, as we showed with the slides. At least that's what I'm calling it, based on the markers, and the markers such as they are after using dies that are been in the ground for over 100 years. This is off center strike. You can see the host coin 1884. So this was overstruck on an 1884 Morgan dollar. You can see the host coin right there at the bottom, overstruck with that canceled die from Carson City. Metal turn, our coin turn. And there's the reverse, and you can see the host die states of at the top. Very nice. Love that coin. Next one is also a overstrike on a Morgan dollar, original Morgan dollar. But this one, it has the edge lettering on it. I'm not going to even try in the video to show you that. I caught it in that still. But here is another one, 1884. Canceled obverse die pair 37, and there's the reverse die pair 37. Next is the same dies used to strike a 39 millimeter 1 ounce 999 silver planchet. So this is just a blank planchet, silver planchet, and same dies. Very pretty. Lots of luster on this coin. Very nice coin. And lastly, I'll just include it because it's part of this segment of the collection, is that original 1884 VAM 10 MS63. PCGS doesn't attribute VAM 10, but this is a VAM 10. It has all the markers. And pretty nice MS63 coin.
So there you have it. There's some nice video of these various items, and I don't know about you, but this is something I really like, and to have items that were produced in more modern times from these dies that were buried in the ground for over 100 years. I feel very fortunate, and I cherish these particular items in my collection. And I hope you liked them. If you like them, stay tuned. I'll be bringing you part 11, which will be some other part of my Carson City collection as it extends out. Thank you for watching. And remember, buy stuff that you like, but be smart about what you buy. Bye-bye. See you next time.